Hi there, I'm Louise Candlish, and this is my new novel, Those People. If you're buying it in Waterstones, you will be able to get a special edition, which will have a special short story in it as well, and also, unhelpfully not here, but there will be sprayed teal edges. Those People is about bad neighbours. It's set on Lowland Way, which is an idyllic suburban street where everyone's very, very pleased with themselves. They're very pleased with the community they've created. And into this perfect world come a pair of very bad neighbours called Darren and Jodie. They don't follow the rules, they play loud music, they set up a business from their house on the corner, which is a car mechanic business, and they're also selling second-hand cars. And so very, very quickly the existing residents lock horns with the newcomers, and frighteningly quickly things escalate and there is a death on the street and the police get involved and life is never the same again for the residents of Lowland Way. So here I am in my favourite bookstore, Waterstones Piccadilly, and I'm in the crime section, and I'm going to introduce you to three books. You'll know them already, so I'm not really introducing you to them, but three of my favourite books that mean a huge amount to me. The first one is Agatha Christie, Death on the Nile, which is my favourite Agatha Christie and the first Agatha Christie I ever read. I was about 12 years old, and I can seriously say that this was the book that got me into reading and also I think sparked an interest in writing as well. Before that I wasn't really into either of those two pursuits. I was a small town girl in the Midlands town of Northampton. I'd probably not even heard of the Nile. I'd certainly not come across such a glamorous setup as is brilliantly evoked in this book. The plotting just blew my mind. I had absolutely no idea that there was such a thing as cluing and that you could have actually been, trying to guess the killer all along. This was my first introduction to Poirot. I went on to read all of the Agatha Christies, but nothing has really sparked my imagination like this one. It's I think that as well as the amazing plotting that you always get with Agatha Christie, her sort of sensitivity to human psychology is second to none. And so, you have a stalking plot, you've got crimes of passion, you have a dipsomaniac, you have a kleptomaniac, you have all of these, sort of crazy things going on. But at the centre of it, you have greed, avarice, and envy. And I think that all crime novels tend to revolve around those horrible, horrible characteristics. So my next choice is Tom Wolfe. I'm Charlotte Simmons. Tom Wolfe is my favourite author of all time, I think, possibly because I grew up in the 80s and the whole Bonfire of the Vanities era. But I do think that this is my favourite of his books because I'm such a sucker for a campus tale. And I do think this is the best university set novel of all time, and obviously there's stiff competition, but Tom Wolfe is of course famous for very forensic research, and so what you have here is the most incredible depiction of a sort of small town, almost hillbilly girl from Carolina going to an elite university on the East Coast. And I think she has one pair of jeans or something, and yet she's sharing a room with a rich princess. And you see all of the frat boys and all of the elite athletes, and she must navigate this world. And she's an innocent abroad, really. But the message is fairly bleak, I think, in this book, because by the end, Charlotte has pretty much given up scholarship and intellectualism in favour of what Tom Wolfe knows is true of all men, that all of us are really interested in status, and she just wants to be a special person. That's what she wants. She doesn't want to be the cleverest. She just wants to be known by her contemporaries. And so in that respect, she is successful at university. So my final choice is Capital by John Lanchester, which is an incredibly important book to me because it directly inspired Our House, which was my property porn thriller of 2018. It's about the financial crisis in 2008 and the soaring house prices around that time, and the divisive effect that has on a street in South London called Pepys Road, which is in Clapham, not far from where I live myself. And on this street, you have a Dickensian cast of characters, from the immigrants running the corner shop, to the Polish builder, to the investment banker who lives in the big double-fronted house in the middle. He's Roger Yount, and his wife Arabella, who's a shopaholic. And you follow their story through the crisis. And John Lanchester's particularly good at quite smoothly and easily explaining what happened in the financial crisis to lay people like me. So you don't get bogged down in the detail. It's really very very elegantly done. But I'm afraid it's of all my books actually have quite a bleak message, and this one does as well, because the characters sort of drop like flies, and by the end I think there are no winners at all in this story, except perhaps the estate agents.